Right, Carl, it says this meeting is being live streamed. So, hello, mate. I'll just come back in a second. Just bear with me while I just check that it's going live stream on me. Then I can share it out then and stuff like that. It's totally unprofessional, you know. I just turn up and
listen, I'm the same.
Just turn up and see what comes out my mouth. Hopefully, not swear words, but even that fails me sometimes. So here we go.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. That's looking good. Oh, look. Oh, dear. So there's a little bit of a lag. So I've got some of my friends here, Shanine and Sritara Martinez. Hola. So what I'll do is I'll just put my phone there like that. And if people want to make comments throughout, if they want to ask questions towards the end, then we'll have a go at that. So, Carl, it's lovely to see you, mate. I haven't seen you in the flesh for many, many years. Are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, mate.
Good. Yeah. We met, didn't we? Because you came to the local college that I was working at, and we had a sort of one of those away days where you introduced us to Reiki and attuned us at the first level. And to be honest with you, I didn't really know what it was all about at that point. You know, I'd been introduced to the local spiritualist church, and I was told by them that I was going to be a healer. Right. Yeah. And I was going to help all sorts of people. And at the time, I remember thinking, what are they going on about? You know, I've got no idea what they're talking about. And it all came true, mate. And then I met you, got introduced to Reiki and the universal life force. And then something shifted in me. And since that moment, it's been sort of motivating me to like do weird and wonderful things, you know. So yeah. I do thank you for introducing me to that and or reintroducing me. And then, if you remember, I came to your house in Holywell, quite right by Holywell Spiritualist Church, I think. And yeah, and you did me for the rest of the stuff then and all that business.
That was a while ago, Joe.
It was. No, it was.
When you said it was a local spiritualist church, which one was it?
It was Rock Ferry I went to.
Oh, Rock Ferry. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
What happened to me was I was sitting. I gave up drinking. It's 30 years now since the drink was taken away from me, if you like, and I was put on this pathway. And I don't fully understand how this works, but I have my own sort of ways of looking at it, you know. I tend not to have any pictures anymore. I just get a feeling that sort of comes from my heart, you know. And I mean, as I say, I just get moved by something from deep within, and I trust it implicitly now, you know. And then I try and listen in with my left ear to my heart, which is it opens up and I go a bit deeper and I just say, give us a clue because I don't know what you want me to do. And then I get information that comes up in certain ways and I just act upon the information received, you know. So that's where I'm up to. And then I was sitting there quietly practicing meditation and stuff, which had just been shown. And I got this whole set of thoughts. It wasn't like a voice, but it was it could have been a voice really strong. And it was go to the local spiritualist church. And I thought, aye. What does that mean? What's a spiritualist church? Because I've never heard of one of them, you know. And I thought, well, and I rang up the person who was helping me at the time. I said, I've got this really sort of overwhelming urge to go to the local spiritualist church. I said, but it's against my faith, right? It's against the Roman Catholic faith. He said, hang on a second. Are you being guided to go? And I said, yes, Amy. He said, well, what have you got to lose? So I went along to the spiritualist church, and the medium, first of all, I'll give you the chance to speak in a minute, mate, but I'm just explaining, you know. First of all, the medium was introduced. I thought, that's funny. She hasn't got a pointed hat on, you know, and she hasn't parked their broomstick in the corner and all that, you know. And she started to talk about stuff. And she said, like, death's a promotion, you know, it goes into the land of spirit and all this. And I thought, I really like this, you know. And then she said to me, well, she didn't say to me, but she said, I'd just like to come to the new person at the back of the room. Well, my bottom went like that, you know, and I thought, oh my God, what? And she said, I know, and this is true, this, obviously, I don't tell lies if I can help it, you know, but she said to me, she said, I'm coming to you. I know that you're new here. she said, but I've got a lovely little lady here, and she's holding up a bottle of Guinness, and she's pointing to it, and she's saying, son, you've taken the right step. I'm getting emotional talking about this. Son, you've taken the right steps. You're in the right place, right? And you will go forward from now, and you will understand what it's all about. And Jenny, who was the medium, she said, I think this is your nan. And it was me nan, you know what I mean? And then she said, right, oh, hang on. She said, I can hear somebody else coming in now, singing a little Irish tune, and she said, I think this is your granddad. But the next bit's really important, because this cemented it for me. She said, I've got a man here. I've got a big thing going up my spine now, so at the back of me. So she said, I've got a man here, and he tells me he lost his thumb while he was single-handedly digging the first Mersey tunnel. Now, that was me granddad. Nobody, Carl, nobody could have known that, right? No. And some sort of feeling came over me. And since then, I've almost feel like I've been chauffeur driven to the next destination, you know. So I know this is your show, but I've just like taken over.
That's all right. Because my first experience was Birkenhead Spiritualist Church, right?
Yeah.
And it turned out that a long time ago, I was a parquetry floor layer, and I used to work with my dad and my brother-in-law. And one job we went to do was this church hall that was being built in Birkenhead by the Children's Hospital. So we put the floors in there, the wood block floors that are still there,
yeah, and
all the rest. And my dad passed away. I was always into UFOs and stuff like that as a kid. And then my mum wanted to go to the Spiritualist Church, and my eldest sister, our Marg, was going, so I tagged along. I was a young fella at the time, and I went in. I can remember where we sat, and the medium pointed to me, can I come to you? And she said, I've got a man here who comes in, who says Jesus loves him. And I thought, oh, my dad was an atheist. Once you're dead, mate, you're dead. So I was like, pfft. And then she said something about a calendar in my bedroom that it was out of date, it needed changing. Well, that stuck it for me, because there was a calendar in my bedroom. I was a young man, and there was one piece of scenery that I particularly liked on the calendar, and it was out of date. Right, let's not go into that anymore there. But I remember walking out of that church thinking, my dad's all right. It was like, whoa, right. And that kind of started my path there. So that church and Rock Ferry mean a lot, because we got married in Rock Ferry, me and Patty. But there you go. That's what started my path.
Yeah, and nobody convinced me can convince me otherwise now, because it's feeling to me. And over the years, right, I've had so many confirmations that there's more to this life than meets the eye, you know. Yeah. And I know that the ancient Hebrews, the Kabbalists and things, they call this world that we live in, this 3D world, they call it the 1% world, because they feel that there's 99% of stuff going on in the invisible realms that we've got no idea about, you know. And where I've come to now is I'm very into sort of quantum information and physics and all that sort of stuff. And spirituality and quantum physics, right, they're related to me. They're the same. I think that we're talking about the same thing, and we're just using different terms, you know. So because I'm a scientist, that sort of sits better with me. But you know, we lost my dad a few years ago, but we haven't lost him really, because I feel his presence all the time, you know. And even sometimes the thoughts that come in and the feelings that I get, it's like he's like right on my shoulder, you know. And his favorite two poems were If by Rudyard Kipling and The Desiderata, you know. And I try and live my life by those two poems now, because that's how he brought me up. And he was a great romancer, me dad, you know, and he was a great adventurer and stuff like this, you know. And sometimes when I've got things to do that I feel a bit apprehensive about, it's almost like he's behind me and he gives me a kick up the bottom and says, come on, son, we can do this together, you know. Right. So that's me in spiritualism. And, you know, I went from there to sit in a trance circle for a long time, you know, and all those sort of different things. And I still always keep an open mind and an open heart to things now. And I don't dismiss anything anymore, because, Carl, what I used to be was a know-all that knows not next to nothing. You know what I mean?
Well,
I'll try and keep it clean, mate. You know,
yeah.
a knowledgeable idiot who I thought I knew what was going on, and to this day I realise that we're only ever scratching the surface of what's actually happening. You know.
Yeah. I mean, we've all done things that have been a learning curve for ourselves. You know, nobody is ever perfect, Joe, are they? But it's how we are now and what we try and do for others now. As far as I'm concerned, anyway. Yeah.
And I know that. How is Pat, by the way? Is she well?
She's all right. Yeah, she's watching Emmerdale at the minute.
Yeah. My young lady's also doing the same thing in the other room, watching Emmerdale. Yeah. So I'm sorry, mate. Sorry.
No, go on. It's okay.
Yeah. So you opened your own church as well, I believe. Is that true? We
did. Yes. I was ordained in Australia to the Church of United Spiritualism of Australia. It was a complimentary ordainment by a very good friend of mine, but it was a proper ordainment, and it was passed by their archdeacon at the time. So I became their first overseas minister, and I didn't do anything for a couple of years, and then we decided to open a church here in North Wales. But I had a word with the archdeacon, because the way they do it, they go Church of United Spiritualism of Australia, Brisbane, Church of United Spiritualism of Australia, Nanango. Well, I couldn't call it that here because I don't think we'd have got much of a congregation being in Wales.
Yeah.
So I came up with the idea of the United Spiritualism of Wales. Okay, and then the church name. There was a lot of conflab going on with different sections of the Australian church. Some supported me, some didn't. So in the end, I resigned from that church, but they can't take your ordainment off you. So I put it to our congregation that this is what we want to do. This is what we're called. Do we stay Church of United Spiritualism of Australia? I just left it all up to them. So we stayed as Connors Quay Spiritualist Church, United Spiritualism of Wales, Connors Quay Spiritualist Church. And that's what we did, but we're not open at the moment just because of this COVID stuff and stuff that's gone on health-wise with Patty and that. I've had to be very careful. Mm-hmm. But yeah, we did. And we gave a lot of money away because we did it as a non-profit, really. And we gave, it was what, £3.50 a week, but it was £3.50 a session, but it was only once a fortnight. And we gave about £5,000 or £6,000 away.
Yeah.
But all good causes, all good causes. And I believe that's what a church should do, should be for. For the local community, it was local charities, local good causes, not the big ones.
Yeah. No, I feel the same. Keep it small, keep it local, keep it heartful and stuff like that. So, transformational energy exchange technique. This is a technique that you've been working on for some time, and you feel that it may be helpful to people. So, do you want to explain what that's about, please?
Okay. Yeah. This kind of, like yourself, Joe, I don't get voices in my head or stuff like that, but I get feelings and thoughts. And maybe about 5 years ago, this little thought popped into my mind's eye about energies and stuff like that, and the technique with the chakras that we might be able to talk about later. But then that idea kind of ticked round in my head for a while. Then it kind of went into the background. And when we opened the church, there was a member of the congregation. We went to her home one night just because she was going to open up for us because we couldn't do the next service, and she lived close by. And she discussed with us, with me and Patty in her house. So we'd only gone for a cup of tea, right? And to give her the keys. So she was telling me about some stuff that she had going on, because she held on to her weight a little bit and she had other issues as well. And this idea just popped in my mind's eye. And I just went, just go into yourself. Whereabouts do you feel that is in your body? So she told me. So I said, just close your eyes. Said, okay, just relax. I helped her to relax. I said, now just reach in, get the energy of it and pull it out. And she did. And she hasn't looked back since. She had a new relationship. She's lost weight. She doesn't eat junk food anymore, stuff like that. And she's gone all over the place in the country with her new fella.
So, oh, sorry, mate.
No, that kind of started. It was only an off the cuff thing, an idea that was put in my mind's eye at that time, right? To do that. So it got the idea flowing within me. And over the next few years, Spirit have put the ideas in my mind's eye about energies and about being able to transform people and energies.
So it's almost like, so does the person remove well, I'd call those attachments really, I suppose, does the person remove those attachments themselves, or do you actually do that?
No, I don't do any of the work. I've developed it now, Joe, into a specialized meditation relaxation technique. And even if you can't meditate, it's easy to do. So can I go from the beginning?
Of course you can, mate.
Okay. These are only my own ideas and thoughts. Okay. But you as a scientist would appreciate this too, because it's a mix of science, fact, and spirit work. It is a spiritual healing technique within a meditation. Everything, you'll agree that everything in the entire universe consists of energy. From the biggest black hole to the smallest tachyon. And energy vibrates. Different energies vibrate at different rates. Okay, so this counter feels solid because its energy vibrates more slowly than the air that I'm breathing. And my own body has its own vibration. My organs have their own vibration. So we are all energy. Everything is connected. Okay? So when we are born of the light and the love. Whether it's God, Buddha, Brahma, the divine spirit, we are born of the light and love. And we are born with perfect energy. Even if our bodies are not perfect, our energy is, and I call that the gift of life energy. And this is why when children, this is my own thoughts, when children are born, their gift of life energy is so powerful and empowering. I think, rightly or wrongly, and people will disagree with me, that this is why kids aren't affected by COVID so much. Because their energy can disempower or shield against the energy of COVID. That's my own thoughts, okay? And as we go through life, our own energy can generally counteract the energy of other things, because everything we experience in life, every situation, every person we come up against, everything has its own energy content, energy signature. And normally our own gift of life energy can counterbalance that, but sometimes it can't. We can absorb energies through chakras, and those energies can affect us, or they can just lay dormant. And then they can travel through meridians, invisible pathways, energy pathways within the body. Now, if you've got a particular type of energy just sitting laying dormant, but it travels through the meridians. What if it touches our physical cells, like kidneys or heart or lungs or liver, right? I see that in my mind's eye, a bit like an opera singer can shatter a glass with the vibration of their note that they sing. So the vibration of their note vibrates against the glass, shatters, breaks it apart. So the energies that we pick up that don't belong to us can vibrate and ruin or spoil the vibrational rate of our physical or emotional selves. So we get dis-ease or unease, anxiety, emotional difficulties, or physical difficulties. What if the energies that are causing the dis-ease or unease, what if they could be removed? What would happen to the dis-ease or the unease?
Is that a question?
Yeah.
It would disappear.
Yeah. It's a bit like taking a faulty battery out of a car that isn't running right and putting a new one in. I am not a health professional in any way, shape, or form, and this is not meant, and nor should it ever replace seeing any health professional. And if you've got any concerns about your health in any way, shape, or form, first port of call is a health professional. Okay. But I've forgotten where I was up to now, but there we go. I don't do the work. It's a specialized meditation where it can be done singly on a one-to-one or via a video call, singly or within a group. Because each person does the work themselves within that meditation, nothing has to be revealed to anyone, including me. They can even have a false name on the screen. They don't have to tell me or anyone anything because they are all dealing with it themselves within the meditation. And this is an empowering meditation that allows them to locate the offending energies and remove them in a particular way. But in the removal, they become transformed, and so does the energy become transformed. So therefore, there's more to it than that. Okay. What's that now? Sorry, Joe.
All right, mate.
I've got a notice up on the screen. Right. So with that, it's different than when anybody goes to see a doctor or a surgeon or a therapist or a counselor, because their expectation is to go and have that person heal them. This is empowering the person to begin and start the process of healing themselves, gives them the power. And it can be done. I've done it with 6 people. They've all been volunteers, 6 at a time. Now, the thing is, I do it that way because I do it in stages, and I have checkpoints at each stage to make sure that the person is where they need to be within that meditation to move on to the next bit. If this was done as a generalized meditation, you could treat 100 people at a time, or however many are allowed on the Zoom or the Messenger, but it might not be as effective because people would need to be able to practice it and do it. But anybody who is proficient and really good at doing meditation, the whole process could be done in 10 minutes. Right? But this is what it's about, the transformational exchange energy technique, because we are removing one type of energy and putting another energy back in. I'm not going to go into too many details, but that's what we're doing. And the person becomes transformed, and so does the exiting energy.
Sounds pretty marvelous to me, mate. I think it doesn't conflict with anything I understand. I spent a lot of years teaching complementary therapies and complementary medicine.
Yeah.
And the central tenet of that is that any pain is basically an obstruction to the free flow of life force energy. So any obstruction would cause pain. And what I've found in my years of doing things is that most people, when they feel a pain, they'll reach out then to some sort of medication or something to actually calm down the feelings, you see. And I honestly believe that if I'm feeling disturbed or uneasy or ill at ease with myself, right, my understanding now is to step back and almost, and this is through years of practice of meditation, is almost to ask that area, what is it that you're trying to show me, you know? Well, so I do it that way. And then sometimes just by shining the light of awareness on it, right, it actually clears. But sometimes I've actually got to take an action. For example, and I see this linked as well with karma and things like that, you know. I think that if I've got a habit of always saying yes, and I find it difficult to say no, therefore I'm a gross people pleaser, that will cause an obstruction in my energy bodies, whereby I'm being shown, now, Joe, it's time for you to grow through this now. You're going to have to practice saying no, you know. So I understand the principles that you're talking about. But as you say, you'll have your method of doing this in gradual stages, and you'll be able to almost like sense where the person is. And you do this on like a Zoom call or a video call, do you?
Yeah. I mean, I've done it. Anybody within a group one can all have different conditions.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The same technique is used for whatever condition, physical or emotional or whatever. The same technique is used, and there is a bit more to it because there's forgiveness within there. Okay, there is also education within there. Okay, there is also communication between the energies and the person and their spirit guides, because it's done with spirit guides. And if the guides say no at any stage, then we don't go any further with that person, because it's all in the hands of spirit. Okay, Joe, can I've used this for weight loss. I've used it for physical problems and emotional problems. Can I read you a couple out?
Of course you can, mate. Yeah, it's over to you. I've
got them up on the screen here. Now, the first girl, I'm not going to mention any names, although they've allowed me to use them, but I won't. Okay. This is the first girl where she just reached in and pulled it out. Okay. Things have been great. Lost just over 1.5 stone. Just managing not to eat loads of rubbish. All things are great. Now, this girl, this next girl, joined a weight loss meditation on July the 21st. Didn't disclose any personal information. Enjoyed the meditation, straightforward, easy to follow, with a lot of feelings happening in the meditation. 2 days after, I started to see results. As you see, what I hadn't disclosed, and I didn't know, nobody's disclosed anything, that I have cysts growing on my neck to her jaw area, through which affected her thyroid. Okay. And this can make it difficult to lose weight, but also make a person self-conscious. She did the meditation to help with weight loss and found in 2 days her cyst had shrunk by 75% and was still shrinking. Okay. She's not craving carbs or high fatty foods. Okay. She's just enjoying a taste of foods more, as well as drinking more water. Now, there's no suggestion in any of this that this is a diet or portion control. I didn't even know that. Okay. This is about 6 months later, the update. She's been fantastic. The growth on her face, the fatty cyst, did shrink and has stayed small. It flares slightly if I'm ill or a toothache, as my glands naturally swell and the cyst is in the gland. but it always shrinks down when she's better. Okay. The doctors still can't believe it's not grown. The power of healing is definitely stronger than most medicine I've tried. Okay. Another one, let's have a look. Jill. Yes, it was easy. It worked, lasted quite a while, lasted me 6 months. She'd do it again. And what she had was, I've lost that bit. Right. That was a physical problem. I'll locate that after. I lost that off there. Okay. One particular one. This was a girl in Australia. They all did it as volunteers. Now, I did lose touch with this girl, and she never told me this. I found this on a spiritual site where she posted this post. Okay. I've experienced a new healing with Carl, and what she wanted to have a go at was PTSD. So we did that. Okay. What she didn't tell me is that she'd had a stroke sometime. I had a stroke 4.5 months ago and suffered PTSD and depression, and I was bullied at work, which triggered the PTSD. Haven't worked for 2 years. Carl had been helping me. This is only one session. Oh my goodness, I'm ever so grateful for meeting him and being able to share with him on a video chat for healing. I didn't have the use of my right arm. I had no idea about this. And I am seeing remarkable improvements in the last week. I'm using my arm now to a degree, baby steps. I can now raise my wrist. I am mentally and physically able to do day-to-day things that I couldn't do before. I'm happy and venturing into new shops to shop. She hasn't been to a shopping centre for so long. She's coping well. If she needs rest, she has rest. Okay. I have not had a full night's sleep for so long, and I'm only waking 1 or 2 times a night now. Okay. My back pain is at ease compared to what it was. I'm a new lady moving forward, regaling my happy lifestyle back. I'm ever so grateful to have beautiful souls helping me to regain confidence, self-esteem, and the use of all limbs. I had no idea she'd had a stroke. I had no idea at all, but exactly the same technique and method was used with the diet, with the other girl, and I've done it for arthritis and stuff like that.
See, I think it's marvelous, really, because I mean, my feeling is that spirits, if you like, for you, are working through you because they see clearly where the energy needs to be worked on and transformed. My thing is when I'm doing stuff, I mean, I don't do it like you, but the principles are similar. I think what happens is because you call it transformation, that I think that the heart's involved in some way, or the deeper heart, because I think what actually happens is, and you may disagree with this in the way that you do it, but I see that if the heart is used as a transformer, it's that really that starts the balancing out, and all the energy that's being obstructed by the condition is then flows back into the person's energy system, and they feel more vital and more empowered. And as you call it, to me, true healing is where the healer is really just a facilitator to help the movement of energy, but it's actually done by the person themselves. And
the thing is, Joe, is my dream, my hopes for this in the future, long after I've gone, is that maybe health professionals, proper health professionals, could use this, and they could treat 6-10 people at a time without them having to leave their home or anything. I don't know, but surely it could complement some things like that, Joe. Do you know what I mean? So that would be a dream to just, I'm not after making tons of money or anything like that. I'm not bothered about that. It's just, this was given, and I feel it was given to me. And I've been amazed at the results. I've been amazed at the results. Okay. It doesn't work every single time. There was one with a weight loss that it never worked. Yeah. But that doesn't matter. Nothing's perfect. but I do believe it can be very beneficial for people. And the way I do it is I don't have people remove all of the offending energy at once, because that can be too much. It's an agreement is made to come away in different stages and an agreed rate that is beneficial and positive and healthy in that way. And it might need more. It might need more sessions. One girl with the arthritis needed 2 sessions, but they were 6 months apart. The other girl, and I've lost it. And that was annoying, because I was getting stuff ready before, you know, and it just, I've lost it. Diverticulitis it was.
Yeah.
It lasted 6 months, 1 session.
See, as you say in the beginning, you know, it's all about energy. I think that modern medicine now is becoming more and more aware of the different dimensions of energy, you know, and maybe in the past, people who were into spirituality would have talked about different dimensions, and they could talk about angels and archangels and extraterrestrial. It doesn't matter to me what anyone believes in now. If it works for them, then good luck to them, you know. And what I found as well is, in part of my job as well, in the sort of medicine side of things, I try and put people back to themselves and start to become more and more aware of their bodies and their body feelings. So I teach mindfulness meditation and mindful breathing. And what I tend to do is, once they're sort of aware of the energies that are flowing, I'll get them then and do a guided imagery and take them to various parts of the body and work upon these different energy centers, as you've mentioned before, called chakras, you know. And so maybe if we get time now, or the next couple of minutes, you could talk about, you know, your chakra cleansing techniques or something like that.
Okay, yeah, sure.
But could I just say this while it's a bit, sorry to interrupt, mate.
Oh, go on.
So at the end of this session, what I'll do is I'll upload this onto YouTube, but also if you can put a link in how people can contact you, then they can look at this and get in touch with. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
All
right, sorry, what were you going to say?
Okay, the chakras, yeah, in the early days, the chakras, I mean, the energy portals, we take in food for physical energy. The chakras, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm no expert on them whatsoever, take in spiritual energy. And really speaking, if we balanced our physical energy with our spiritual energy, we'd run like a pair of long jag. Be lovely, wouldn't it? Okay. Well, the chakras can hold lots of energies. And when I was doing some healing with somebody a long time ago, in the where you came to our home, this idea came to me, and I got this girl to actually step outside her body with her guide and fly into her chakra. She went in and explored it, because the part of us, and she found a treasure chest. She said she was on the bottom of the ocean, and she opened the chest and it had lots of learning curves. But the chakra adjustment is like, it's a meditation again, because it's all right. I know, you know, I do Reiki, so we balance chakras. But the only person truly who knows that whether their chakra's balanced is the person. So what if you could go into a little bit of a meditation, locate the chakra and judge if it's in the right place, and move it till it actually feels right, and adjust its size and shape, and even its rotation and its color till it's right. Because some people say they've got to rotate one way, some people got to say it's got to rotate, but it's personal. So that person can move their chakra slightly till it's in the right place. They can adjust the chakra, its color and its rotation and its size and its speed till it feels right. Okay. And then they can step outside and go into it with their guide, locate any energies that don't belong there anymore, and pull them out. And they can cleanse them. And that's a simple way of doing it. but that's for my mind's eye, that works very well. And I would only do one chakra at a time like that to allow for any balancing to come out. But if you can do that and go in and take all the rubbish out the chakras, what joy that could bring, what balance that could bring, because the chakras are connected to all the internal organs anyway, aren't they? So that it's not quite the same as the transformational energy exchange technique, because some of the energies that reside in us don't reside in the chakras. They reside in different places, and you've got to locate them. But those energies in the transformational exchange will leave of their own accord in the end, because of the way it's done. And if something leaves of its own accord, it's not likely to come back or reoccur. So the chakra one is that, and the transformational one is a bit more complex, but it's very effective. I don't know whether the chakra one, that was an idea I came up with, but I do think other people do that. I'm not sure.
I mean, I've studied this for a long time, and my thing is, what I've tried to do is bring in the Oriental arts, if you like, from the East. And they believe in these energy centers, these invisible vortexes or vortices of energy. And they are the precursors, if you like, to the organ system. So, the chakras, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. So some people will use colors as well. Some people will always use sound frequencies as well. So I've been given something, they gave me this, or I got it into my mind's eye, as you would say, this word chromato-optogenetics. And I thought, what the hell's that about? Yeah, because they say you're a scientist, so you're going to have to start in, we're going to give you a term now, so we want you to study it. So I got this chromato-optogenetics. So I said, well, what's that mean? And I go and look it up. So, I have to go and do my own homework. So chromato, that means chromatic. And chromatic means two things. It means to do with color and frequencies of color. But it also means, they said, there's also a chromatic scale on a piano as well, which has got 12 notes, you see. Right. And they said to me, we want you to tell people about the 12 sphere system, and this was a long time ago, and it doesn't leave me alone. So I've got to go deeper into it. So apparently there's a particular color and there's a particular sound that resonate with these spheres of consciousness. Now, I know we've moved slightly away from the chakras, but I see the chakras like this, Carl. I see that the first chakra's got a one-way system. It's not dual, it's one way. And it's associated with, if you like, the perineum at the bottom of your spine, but it's also associated with the fight and flight response.
Right, okay.
And therefore, the organ that's associated with that is the adrenal glands, because that produces adrenaline, which is the powerful fight or flight response. So that's the first one. So that's the red energy. Next one, we come up into the orange, and that's to do with what they call the gonads, the sex organs, And also, there's an element of development here, because as we grow, the first sort of instinct that we've got is to defend ourselves. And then as we move up through time, what comes online then, the next instinct is sex. So the first one's about self-survival. Then we move into human race survival. Then we move up into the social environment, where we spread out a bit more and we start to interact with other people then. Then we move into the heart. I don't know why I'm going on here. I'll shut up in a minute, but then we have the lower heart, and then we have this sort of a meeting place where the higher heart and the lower heart meet. Now, if we haven't learned our lessons or understood things, we keep getting recycled into those bottom three chakras. However, if things are balanced, what tends to happen is, in the middle of the heart chakra, a sort of portal opens up, and we ascend then into higher understandings then, you see. And I think, if anyone's into psychology, this is to do with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where you move towards self-actualization. So let me just do this bit. If it's not open in the middle of your heart chakra and you keep recycling, it means that you're stuck in the herd. Okay, and so you're going with all the social conditions that you've been brought up with, and that's how you live your life. It's almost like a sort of unconscious reaction and just working on habits. However, there's a point where you're supposed to gain courage and say to the herd, thanks very much for the information that you've given me so far, but I'm getting this feeling I've got to go off on my own now and sort of plan my own and navigate my own life. And that's when we move into then individuation, you know, and then from there, then we move into the throat, where we can start to express our true feelings rather than what everybody else is saying. And then we move up to the next one, the brow chakra, which is the pituitary gland. And then we start to, all our hormones start to come online and start to balance themselves out. And then the next one's the pineal gland, or the crown chakra, which is once again a one-way system. And then that leaves us out then, right, to the next adventure, maybe in the next reincarnation or something like that. So just to go back to your point, I think where your technique is different is that you're helping the person to use their own imagination to actually visualize and go back in and see what the particular gifts and attributes are in those chakras, and to see what's maybe working for them and what isn't working for them. Am I working on the right lines at all? Kind
of, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the bits that I deal with in that particular, in the chakra one, is because the guide is always with them.
Yeah.
I mean, I've cut it short really, but the guide will always make sure that the guide's with them and goes in with them, and they can, my point has been, see where the offending strands of energy are within that chakra that they don't need anymore. Because it's my contention that, and also within the transformational one, even though there are energies there that are causing the difficulties, the initial impetus of those energies was actually to help. But our life has outgrown that need. So, but the energy doesn't realize that.
Yeah.
So that's where the transformational bit comes in. So they go into their chakra and they can see whatever is not needed for them anymore. And they can then take control of it, bring it out and give it to the guide where it will be placed elsewhere. That's in a brief way. That's what that is about. So this is just actually I see it just as a cleansing of what's not needed. But I get exactly where you're coming from, John.
No, I think that's great. And I do see it like that myself, is they're old, outdated modes of coping, possibly, that used to work, you know, earlier on, possibly even in childhood or even before that. And I think that all these things are sort of encoded in our DNA. And some people believe that our ancestral DNA holds habits from the past of maybe our grandparents and their grandparents and so on. So I don't know, Carl, it doesn't matter to me, but you know, sometimes we can work now on the stuff that they didn't do then in order to reset the past and stuff. It's fascinating, really, you know.
Yeah.
But what I liked you saying is, and I understand this perfectly, is when you're working on a chakra, I see chakras not as wheels, but I see them as spheres, actually.
Okay.
You know, and it's all almost like seven ollies or ball bearings.
7 ollies. I haven't heard that term for ages.
Yeah, 7 ollies or 7 ball bearings, each with a they can turn any way. But I think what actually happens is in disease, they're slightly off target, you know, and so we can actually go in, reset the direction, or they call it the vectors, if you like. We can reset the direction. That will then allow the energy then to move up to the next chakra, which then may be blocked. And so I love your idea of just working on one at a time, because if you sort of reset the connection and point it in the right direction, all that energy that's been sort of blocked or obstructed or whatever will then start to flow, and then it will start to impact upon the next chakra up then, you know.
It's a bit like pulling the crap out of a drain.
Absolutely.
Allow the water to flow. But yeah, I would only ever work on one at a time, and the same with the transformational. Only remove so much at a time, because you can have, you know, Joe, you can have what's called a healing crisis, which is a reaction to the unblocking or the clearing or the healing. And the same for any antibiotics you might be given, or a surgery or counseling sessions. There's always that process of having to work through stuff. And anybody, I always say to people, you must have your own support system in place, somebody who you can talk to or whatever, because I'm at the other end of the video and I'm not a health professional, you know. But yeah, but I have to say one thing, Joe, just occurred to me and I've forgotten, was the transformational energy exchange technique is not suitable for anybody who has epilepsy. And I would not encourage it for anybody who suffers from serious emotional or psychological disorders. Okay.
Yeah. No, I agree, mate. I agree entirely, because I see everything as energy now. And I think that if we're moving energies, you know, and people can't handle it or process it in a gentle, kind and considerate way, then it can cause a misalignment. You know, so I'm exactly on the same page as you. And I say to people, look, you know, I'm going to give you, it's called informed consent, isn't it? You know, and with informed consent, you don't just sell the good bits. You have to say, look, there may be some sort of contraindications here as well. And now that I've given you all this information, it's now completely your choice. Would you like to go further with this?
Every single time.
Yeah.
Every time.
I think, especially in this day and age, it's so important to get across the concept and the principle of informed consent.
I will mention on this video, Joe, is I prefer to do it through Zoom. And I always ask, because I always record the Zoom session whenever I can. Those records will never, ever, ever go anywhere. It's just so that we can learn by them. People can request them if they want, but that would have to be with the consent of everybody within that session. And in this day and age, unfortunately, that's what I have to do.
Yeah, I think that we need to be careful. We need to be honest, straightforward, upfront, not hold anything back at all, you know. And I think, see, my thing is about truth, trust, and transparency, you know. And I know that some people can appear transparent, but they're just translucent because they keep some stuff back, you know what I mean? So the light might be getting through, but it's not really clear, you know. So it's got to be clear. And no, I think this is great. And what I also love about the way you do things is, there's also an educational component where the individual starts to learn about themselves as well and stuff like that, you know.
Well, yeah, because within the, I haven't told you the whole thing in that sense because I've condensed it.
Yeah.
But before they ever go to locate the energies, they will have a spiritual counseling session with their guide. So they will have a talk between themselves and their guide for however long they want or need, and discuss a plan of action if it is indeed suitable or not. And permissions have to be given every step of the way, otherwise they can't go any further. So they do have a counseling, a proper, what I would call a proper spiritual counseling session, because they're doing it between themselves and their guide or their higher self, whatever you want to call it. Okay, before they move on, and they come to an informed decision within themselves, nothing to do with me, of how they want to go forward, what they want to do, why they want to go forward, and how these energies are going to be released in a safe and appropriate, healthy manner. It's all agreed within themselves, within the meditation, before it's all completed.
Here's a hard question, mate. What if they don't believe in guides and higher selves and higher powers and stuff like that? Will it work for them?
Yeah, I've thought about that. That's okay. Because when I asked them to send out an intent, they could ask for people who don't believe, that's okay. They could ask for whatever best friend they want with them, or an imaginary protector to be with them. It's all their own decision. So yeah, I get that. It is spiritual work as well as scientific work in a sense, or on a scientific basis to do with the energy. But no, if they don't believe in spirit and that, then they could just use their imagination and call in, have whatever protector they want with them. They might like Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
They might like Pikachu.
What's that mean? What's Pikachu?
Well, I just off the top of me,
Oh, right.
Pikachu was just a Japanese cartoon character for kids, right? But I've got a relative of my within the family who loves Mickey Mouse, right? Yeah. So they could have Mickey Mouse with them if they wanted. Doesn't matter, because it's the process.
No, I want to ask that, mate, because I think more and more people are becoming aware of the power of the mind and all the different aspects of the mind. Yeah. And if they can use now, I'm going to tell you what I do is that when I'm going into a deep meditation, I sink down and I go through deep, dark passages. It's almost like a sandy sort of passage that goes through a cave, and I go really, really deep, and I come on this sort of sanctuary where there's like a well and a font, and the water comes up. And I've got like a Yoda type character that comes and sits with me, and that sort of just comes to me. And it's almost like I'm sitting in this dark place, but I feel really comfortable. It's very, very deep. And I'll sit there. He's on the end of one side of the well, like a swimming pool thing. I'm sitting on the other, and we're having a chat. Now, that works for me. And whether or not that's real, it's real for me. It makes me feel as though I'm connected.
Real for you.
To a deep part of me. Now, people have said to me, "Oh, that's a load of old nonsense." But I was going to say baloney. I was going to say baloney. Yeah. That's a load of old baloney. That, and I said, hang on a second. Each to their own. Yeah. This works for me, because what I've done over the years is I've had to dispense with my old former religious upbringing, because I did spend some time going to train to be a priest, but when I came away, partly I dispensed with all my thinking about everything. And now that's about the only image I have now of some sort of a deeper being within me that I can chat to, Yeah. And I can feel that deep part of me, it's me at a deeper level that's trying to help me. So it's almost like if you're like a higher or a deeper power, and that I can sit there, chat with, and it seems to do me good. And sometimes it'll say to me, you don't want to be doing that. Have you considered this? So it gives me guidance, really. Yeah. And Carl, I couldn't be happier, because I'm so glad that sort of strong thought or voice said to me, go to the spiritualist church, because lots and lots of people over the years have tried to talk me out of that. And I can't anymore, mate. I'm very strong in my convictions and what I feel from here, And I do sometimes hear voices, believe it or not, and see things, but I'm not that bothered about that, because it's the feeling really that I get. And just to say this point is, it's so difficult now to know what the truth is really in this day and age, because we hear so much information coming in. It's hard to know what's best to do. And what I do is I allow it all to come in. I sit it in my heart. I get comfortable with the way I feel in my heart. And then I just say to my heart then, right, can you show me, please, the best way for me to go forward here? And sometimes I'll get a real feeling of being moved. And that's how I live my life now. And mostly it's completely opposite of what my head's telling me, because, I think that my head is the seat of stinking thinking, but my heart never lets me down. I've gone on like a preacher there, mate, but
no, that's all right, mate.
It's coming up to time now. We've got a couple of minutes left. So just, is there anything bubbling and trying to come up, or?
No, not really. I mean, you go at I didn't do it all, but I've given you the crux of it. Yeah. But I have to say, it is all done, and again, within people's mind's eye, where they go to their own safe, sacred place, whether it's indoors or outdoors, and with their own protection around them, however they want that to be. So they're always placed initially within safety and all the choices. But within this, the people are in charge. They can stop it at any time. All the choices, all the decisions are their own. I just facilitate the technique.
That's great, mate. I mean, we do work obviously along the same principles, and
Yeah.
you know, my thing again is if people feel disturbed, then they can just say, I want to stop now. End of story.
Yeah,
No
yeah,
questions.
absolutely.
No questions, no nothing. And you know, so thanks, mate. It's been lovely seeing you. It's been lovely to talk to you.
It's been good talking to you, and thank you very much for allowing me to come on and asking me to come on.
No, pleasure, mate. And I'm not that far away from you. We're down in Park Gate, so maybe I'll pop in for a cup of tea one of these days.
Okay.
What else was I going to say then? Oh yeah. So if people want to contact you, if you can put some contact information up, then they'll be able to contact you directly, and then I'll leave it to them. Then.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
So,
I'm trying to do a session maybe every Monday evening at 7 p.m. UK time. It should allow about an hour, because with several people, it takes a good 40 minutes.
Nice.
Thanks, Joe.
No, it's a pleasure, mate. And all my love to Patty. And thanks again for starting me off on this. And
I didn't start you off, mate. I just facilitated it.
I remember you kicking me over the bottom on my way out.
Them up there did the job.
Oh, I know. All right, mate. So God bless you, and
you.
hopefully speak to you soon.
God bless, Joe. Thanks, mate.
Toodaloo.
Bye now.